Yes, it's Rat Week, and today I'm going to paint up one of the most iconic and classic Skaven miniatures. Welcome back to Emblem Doom Miniatures. My name is Deets, and boy oh boy has it been a ratty week. I've seen so many great Skaven miniatures painted up, and I've decided I want in on the action. Plus, I want to start building out a Mordheim warband for Skaven, and I got gifted this classic Deathmaster Snikch from a friend of the channel, so why not? Over the past few weeks, I've been painting like a madman. I had Olden Demon, I did a batch paint, so this week I want to kind of slow it down and try some new methods out, maybe try some new colors, and really experiment with this miniature. I see a lot of Skaven painted in like a grim dark paint scheme, and with this guy, I want to make him dark, but I also want to make him vibrant as well. Also, a great mate of mine who lives in Germany popped over to visit me in Australia this week, and he brought me a really special gift. He brought me these beautiful Kolinsky brushes. So today's kind of going to be a test drive for these, and I'll let you know at the end how I feel about these Kolinsky brushes, because I always get asked what brushes I use, and I tend to use some cheap ones or some mid-range ones, so it's going to be nice to try these guys out. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, as I said, I want to try something new and also get some practice in with colors I don't use that often. I have a container with some colors that I don't use much, so I had to dig through for some inspiration, and I decided to go with purple for the clothing and Baharoth blue for some neon highlights on the black cape. It's not every day an older 4th edition mini has such a dynamic shaped cape, so I want to exaggerate it as much as I can with some bright highlights. My usual black recipe uses more grey tones for highlights, but today we're going to aim for some blue tones. First up, I go over the cape's larger raised areas with a mix of Stegadon scale green and black. Don't let the green in the name fool you, it's anything but green. Next, I move on to some pure Stegadon scale in a glaze consistency and work it all over the folds and top facing areas. At this point, I'm already feeling a difference in the way the paint comes off this new brush. I feel like I don't have to dip it in the paint as frequently as it holds more. Now it's time to mix some Baharoth blue to the Stegadon scale green and do some more highlighting, but to a smaller area. Again, having the paint in a glaze-like consistency. I then add a small amount more of Baharoth blue to this mix and add this to any corners or points of interest, and then it's time for a pure Baharoth blue highlight. This is where the neon-like color will come in, and you'll see the folds of the cape starting to pop. Now don't get me wrong, I was a bit nervous at this point that this wouldn't work, but so far so good. And to finish, I add a small amount of white to the Baharoth blue and place this on all the corners, underneath the teared holes on the cape, and any top facing areas. I do tend to get nervous when I'm painting with new colors or new techniques, because I'm so used to painting with colors that I kind of rely on that I know that will work well. But I am in this hobby to grow and push myself and become a better painter, so there comes a time when you really need to do new things. And it is quite uncomfortable when you're trying these new things out, but really you just have to stick the course and hope for the best. Let's move on to the purple, and I don't get much practice with this color as it's the dirty dark elf color and no one likes drookies. Just kidding, I love them. I start out with a few watered down thin coats of Xeris purple all over the rat's dank clothes. Then I mix up 1 part Xeris to 1 part Genestealer purple and place this mix all over the raised areas. Follow this up with pure Genestealer purple and then a mix of Genestealer purple and T'Challa lilac. For the final crisp edge highlight, I use some pure T'Challa lilac to the folds and the torn holes on his trousers, and then some T'Challa lilac and white to those points of interest. Now this guy is coming together better than what I thought, but before we keep moving on, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. When I started this hobby, Skaven weren't really an army I was drawn to. Don't get me wrong, I love rats, I used to have some as pets, but Warhammer's grim version of these precious rat boys really didn't click with me. It wasn't until I painted the Screaming Bell a few months ago that I understood what all the rat hype was about. After painting that bell, I went into overdrive looking for old Skaven minis and found a few absolute stunners. And now I'm on the hunt for more to build a unique Mordheim warband. I guess that's the beauty of miniature painting. If you're open to trying new things and painting new miniatures you never would have before, you might find a passion for something new and understand why people have an appreciation for different armies. I'm at the point where I've given up collecting a few armies and I'm now basically building every single army. But that's nothing to complain about. Now, if you saw last week's video, you'll be pretty aware of how I paint skin, but I'm gonna add one more step in. I'm just gonna add an extra highlight to this, add some white into the flayed one flesh, just for a spot highlight. So if you want more info on that, check out my Beastman batch paint video. I have a lot of cooler colors on this guy, like blues and purples, but I'm thinking a pop of warmth might take him to the next level. Now, I don't want to swoon over these brushes too much, but man, were they making a difference. I've always been in the camp of using mid-range brushes or cheap brushes because this is just a hobby for me, and as we all know, in the modern world things are getting more expensive and the cost of living feels like it's growing daily. In saying that, I now realise why people stand by Kolinsky brushes and more expensive brushes. I find myself taking less time because the brush holds a paint better and the tip stays way sharper. I'm not saying go out there and blow all your money on expensive brushes, but maybe treat yourself when you're ready to a good brush and see what happens. It might improve your painting, who knows. So the reds are down and it's time for some leather action, and I go over the rat's man bag with some dryad bark, then I work my way through Doombull brown, then some scrag brown, and finally an edge highlight of Zemesi desert. I've tried to make this leather a bit more warm to stand out against the purple. I want to give this clever Skaven Deathmaster some warpstone goodness to the end of his blades, so I've gone over the black with some Vallejo dark green. Next, I go back over with a mix of dark green and warpstone glow to all the flat surfaces on the stone. I then apply some pure warpstone glow to the top facing areas. I'm working as carefully as I can because I don't want to make a mistake and get any of this in the recesses. It's important to have the dark green separation between each flat surface because having that contrast will make it look like it's glowing. Now I edge highlight with moot green, and then to finish off I do a tiny corner highlight to the top areas with some moot green and white. It's time for some true metallic metals, and like always I leave this to last because I'm lazy and I don't want to change my water, and I want these true metallics to look a little bit more dank and dark than usual. To do this, I'm going to use Liberator Gold, as it's a little bit more of a tan gold, if that makes any sense. I use this on his sword handles and braces, and for the blades I use a base coat of gunmetal. Gunmetal is a great base for my silvers, as I can highlight up with ease. I then give my golds a good wash with some Reikland flesh. Usually I use Guilliman flesh wash for this, but today is about trying something new, and I really like how red this wash is, and you can use it straight out of the pot. It kind of looks like rust. From here I highlight the golds with more Liberator Gold and some silver. Now giving blades shadows can be a nightmare, and I feel like I'm only just starting to get the hang of this. It's all about glazing slowly with multiple layers. The biggest tip I can give is to water down your wash and wait until it's fully dry before glazing another coat. To give it some shine, I then glaze some Runefang steel in the opposite direction. Make sure this is watered down as well, and just take your time. Last up, I do an edge highlight of some pure silver. You can always mix some white into the silver if you like, but today I'm going to keep it simple. This rat's blades has some cool drip effects, and instead of making them like blood, I want to channel my 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and make them a green ooze. As I already have a green warpstone glow effect on the ends of the blades, I want to try and make this color a little different. I slap on dark green and warpstone glow all over, and then hit it with some Nuln Oil. I go back over with some warpstone glow, then some warpstone glow and moot green to the larger parts. From here I mix in a small amount of Uriel yellow to the moot green and warpstone glow mix, and apply this to the top facing areas. To finish, I then mix in some Dawn yellow to this mix and do a small spot highlight. Yes, this guy is finally finished, and here it is, a classic Deathmaster Snikch. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video, I really appreciate it, and let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see me paint next. And as I said at the start of the video, I got these new Kolinsky brushes as a gift from my German friend, and I have to say these brushes are really good. They actually took my painting to another level. Usually I use like mid-range brushes, and sometimes I do use cheapies just for batch painting and stuff like that, but these brushes were really good. I had more control over the tip, and I wasn't constantly dunking my paintbrush into the paint. They did hold a lot of paint. So would I use these again? Definitely. I'm going to be using these a lot from now on. I probably won't use them for my bigger batch paints and slap together miniatures, but for the odd miniature that I really want to put the effort in to make look really good, I'll definitely be busting out these paintbrushes again. So I highly recommend go get your hands on some good brushes. People tell me all the time, change your brushes, get some good paint brushes, because it'll take you to that next level. And yeah, you're right. Like always, I want to say a massive thank you to my legendary Patreons. I really couldn't do this all without you. You guys are a massive help. And if you want to join the Patreon, make sure you hit the link in the bio. And I look forward to seeing you on the Discord. Anyway, my dudes, I'm out of here. I'll see you all next time. Cheers.